because I need to eat, and it's, yeah, got shit to do. So, alright, yeah, we are, but not for long, like 20 minutes, as long as it takes, because then I'm going eating. So I'll answer a few quick questions now, and I'm not scrolling up, so... Fish and chips. Why don't you guys seem to invest in merch? Isn't that a big income for artists? I'm just not that asked about... You know, all I need is enough money to get a laptop and do my shit every day, all day. So, you know, merch, yeah, I could probably cream off a bit more money for merch, but it's a bit of a hassle. You know, I'm not that arsed. I don't really think of it like a business, you know. I mean, I would if I had to. You know, I'm not totally like, oh, I'm above all that. I'm not like that at all. I just can't be arsed, is the answer, really. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you really want some, we'll make some. Better come to Hungary and play this new live set, otherwise I will get angry and remake the entire thing in Max and rent a venue and play it myself. Fucking go for it, man. Like, just do it. If that's what you're into, you know, doing kind of ersatz versions of other people's things. Still got Juno 106. No, Glyn has got it, my mate, so I don't know what he's doing with it. Digit, he came with us, 2010 tour. I want your face on a t-shirt. What, my kind of round head? Which angle would you do it from? What? Did you watch Morbius? No, should I watch that? It looks shit. It looks like a shit Marvel thing. Would I really watch that? Should I watch it? Tell me if I should watch it. What's the FM synth used on Oversteps? Mostly FM7. FM8, I mean. Did you do any interviews, and how... Question, did you do any interviews, and if so, how many did you do? Where? Sorry for the millionth artist question, but do you like Arca? Yeah. Do you have tinnitus? You got any unique ways to deal with it? Do you use nicotine in the vape? What vape is it? It's a Caliburn. UL. It's convenient, what can I say? The pods last for fucking ages. I just vape Nick Salts in it, so the pods last even longer, because they don't jam up. I don't use any flavour. I used to, but people got sick of me smelling like whatever, cinnamon buns or whatever. Any plans to release more early stuff like warp tapes? No plans, because we didn't have a plan to do that. It was just we got asked by NTS and we had the stuff there, so we just threw the mix together and did it. It was a bit, you know, off the cuff. We haven't got loads and loads of amazing material from that era. We've got loads of material though, so I don't know, maybe. I mean, we even thought about doing a release based on that thing, because that's a mix, so maybe we could just put the tracks out individually on some kind of format, I guess, if we could be bothered. It's a bit, you know, it's a bit like looking at your old school books, you know, it's a bit, you know, yeah, I'd rather be doing new stuff, if I'm being honest. I don't find it that interesting going through archive. I've never really been one for archive. I don't really keep much archive, and I don't do a lot of thinking about that stuff. You know, it's just there. And I get asked about it a lot, which is why we talk about it a lot. But it's just the nature of doing interviews and being in the game for this long that people want to talk about that shit. So we you know, we're kind enough to answer the questions and not be funny about it, because I don't want to be always like insisting that people talk about the new shit, even though that is what I want to do. I don't really want to talk about anything, to be honest, but you know, I'm thinking about the new shit, basically. I'm not thinking about the old shit at all. So the questions are always a little bit annoying, but you do it because you don't want to be a dick and deny the fact that you've been around as long as you have, because people might only like your old shit. They might not even like what you're doing now, so you got to be nice, you know what I mean? So have you seen Gia Jensen out and about recording fields? No. No, I haven't. Come to Russia. Yeah. I don't think we've got time to talk about it right now. Will you guys let the fans have a picture of you? It's fucking stupid, all this Russia stuff. It's fucking stupid. But, you know, you guys need to sort it out. We can't sort it out for you. Okay? It's better to look to the left, slightly profile, slightly more mysterious, especially if the sun is also... I don't really know. I think I look weird from all angles at the moment. How the hell did you program Flutter with rolling R8? It's such a complex thing. It's not. It's really not. You just have to get good on the R8. You just, you know, what can I say? It's just do it. You only do it. You only get good if you do it all the time. So I didn't start out that good on the R8. You can hear in the early warp tape stuff. You can hear me getting used to using the thing. So, do you remember doing that gig in the car park in Shoreditch on Choristers tour? Yeah, fucking do. Yeah, we had a really good rig that night. The guys who put it in were really smart, and the rig sounded really good. I remember during soundcheck just thinking, fuck, this is going to be good. And then everyone stood there freezing in their coats like a bunch of kind of dudes in North Faces, you know. It was like an army of people that all looked the same. It was kind of odd, but, you know, it was like they were really into it. And I think the bass was just good. I remember Mark Fell actually, like, did a load of bass stuff that night because I think he was being a bit competitive or whatever, you know. That was fun. Yeah, the rig mainly was my main takeaway from that was that the rig was fucking amazing. How exactly was the sound of Ninefly made? Spectral stuff. Noise reduction. Just basic fresh old FFT shit, you know. So, really simple. It's not hard to do. It's like pretty entry level FFT stuff. So, do you guys still use Versing Cube? No, you know, only time we used that was on Tilted. But I like it. I think it's a dope little play thing. You know, convolution in general can be fun. It gets a bit... I mean, I wouldn't use a VST to do that now. There are more interesting things you can do in just MSP, so... Ever bust out the machine drum on mono machine? No, because I've lent them to Mike Williamson, and he's had them since 2013, so... Do you ever meet Sophie in person? No. Russia tour, please. Wow, a lot of people want us to go to Russia. Look, we can't solve your problems for you. You're going to have to do it yourself. Do you like Paul Thomas Anderson's films? I don't know. Probably. Don't think I've seen any. He's one of those names that I always see around and I don't even know what he's done. So I'm probably, you know, I'm not really much of a librarian though. So I don't know a lot of things, you know. You had any Moo Bingo? No. Do you set aside specific time for max programming versus music composition, or are those two pretty fused at this point? They're the same thing. Do you think electronic music has any fresh new artist, or is it run by old people? It's always been run by older people. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, everything's run by older people. That's how the world works. You can't just run something when you're 12, can you? I mean, how would that work? Well, you can, but I mean, the thing to know if you are young and you're salty about this, is there's nothing stopping you doing the thing at all. And I know this just because we did the thing, right? So, you know, we were doing pirate radio. I was barely out of school at that point. I was doing tapes when I was in school. You just do the thing. There's nobody stopping you doing the thing, right? Getting eyes on the thing is a bit different. You have to use a bit more initiative. Like I say, I mean, back then it was pirate radio. Nowadays, you'd do it online. I'd do it online. I'd try and do it online. Is it, are the big institutions run by older people? Yeah, because experience matters. So, and connections matter. And older people have more of both. So, yeah, you get yourself out there. You're competing with that. That's a thing that you've got to wrestle with and figure out an approach that's going to benefit you, right? So you might not be able to do the things that they can do, but there are things they can't do that you can do. So you're more adaptable, you're quicker, you can use different strategies, you can talk about different things, you can raise different concerns. Those are all things that you can do. So just because they're older and they're more experienced and better connected than you are doesn't mean that they've holding all the cards. There are things that you can do that they can't do. So think about what those things might be, and take an approach that's different, that marks you out. Look at how Autechre came up. I mean, they weren't the least privileged kids out there, but they didn't have all that age and experience shit. They didn't have all the connections. Look at how they did it, Look at how Death Grips did it, Think about that. Those people have been really successful. Yeah, there are ways in. So don't complain about the industry being older. That's boring. It's always been like that. It was like that when we started out as well. What language do you feel sounds the most interesting from a purely sound perspective? Probably some of the African languages, because they use so many odd consonants. Like, yeah, probably something like Kosa or something like that. Like they're quite unique sounding, I think. But interesting. There's a big overlap between interesting and unfamiliar. So a lot of it's about how unfamiliar it is. I also quite like, there are I think it's Cantonese that's got a lot of unusual use of pitch. So there used to be a woman in the Chinese near me, and I used to listen to her talking to her husband, and it was so musical. It's crazy, but so different, and kind of odd for my brain to kind of try and understand. So yeah, things like that. I think unfamiliar languages in general, there's probably a lot of languages I've not heard that I'd find really strange and interesting. So probably one of them. Whereas Roberto is in Bristol. Crinkle cut waffle fries or regular? What are waffle fries? I don't think I've heard of waffle. Oh wait, no, I think I do know what they are. Yeah. No, I mean just regular, innit? Like chippy chips. You have certain feelings or getting certain vibe when it comes to making or producing your music. I mean, lots of feelings, and it is all about feelings ultimately. It's a very intuitive process. Is there artists you say you're both inspired by? Yeah, I mean, as kids, we were both inspired by Mantronic, Marley Marl, a lot, but also, Arthur Baker, John Roby, Man Parrish, Dave Storrs, Mark Liggett, Chris Barbosa, Ted Courier, Knights of the Turntables, Art of Noise, Keith LeBlanc, Sherwood, Alan Wilder, Depeche Mode in general, Human League. Yeah, I mean, fucking hell, I could just sit here all day doing this, so it's boring. I've played most of them anyway. Picture of you smiling. No, I'm not giving you a picture of me smiling. Yeah, I know about the ominous band pics thing. It's just like, I think it's photographers, you know what I mean? They don't loosen us up. I find it easier talking to regular people than photographers coming at you with a camera, you know. Part of it's just fucking autism, you know. Like, it's not the easiest thing being photographed. You'd be surprised. How do you feel about using AI in music? I am, a little bit. Machine learning, you know. I mean, what is AI anyway? It's too broad, really, a term. But yeah, I mean, I use a little bit of machine learning. I find machine learning a little bit interesting, but, you know, a lot of it is just translation. It's a bit black boxy for me. I don't find much of a way in there. It's just like, you'd never really get to see the network anyway, so. But, you know, GANs are fun to play with, but they're you need to give them such large data sets that it becomes a bit laborious. It's not the kind of thing I'm interested in. I'm way more interested in very simple, small bits of program that can generate lots of complex output. That's to me, that's much more interesting. Like, much more interesting. Whereas, you know, with machine learning, you're having to put in so much information in the beginning to train the thing that the output becomes a little bit predictable. You almost feel like you know what it's going to be anyway before it outputs it, so it's not really very surprising, if that makes sense. What new outfit do you like most at the moment? You mean clothing or music? I don't know. What's interesting about the shit that you would like to talk? What's interesting about the new shit that you would like to talk about? I don't talk about what's interesting about my own shit. That's weird. That's like when people are like, you should pay attention to this great thing that I did. Fucking hell. Like, really? Like, I'm already asleep by that point. Are you coming to Poland this year? We got asked. I can't remember. Possibly. Don't know. I'm at home. What's the shittiest job you had? I don't know, you know, because shitty jobs aren't necessarily that bad. Like, me and Rob worked on a market stall once selling slippers to old people. That was fun, though. That's fun as fuck. You know, doing all the banter and all that. It's just fun, innit? It's like being a market trader. No, I mean, it's like people would think of that as a shitty job, but it isn't at all. It's not at all a shitty job. I did 4 years of retail work. It was fun as fuck. We just fucked around for 4 years, watching MTV and pissing about. It was like mad. It's like we didn't do any actual work. But it was a shitty job. So, on paper, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't really mind. How many Autechre jackets do you own? Hang on, 1, 2, 3. Including soft shells? 4. Well, it's layering, isn't it? So I don't think it's accurate to just give you a number, because they're all different things, you know what I mean? I might wear like 4 of them at once. Depends, right? So, a few. But I see what you did there. Asking, yeah, right, okay. What's your take on the loudness war? It's over. It ended. Finished. You know, there was a ceasefire. Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, I keep putting my hand over it. Sorry. Do you use a gamelan on Confield? Yeah. Have you tried some stuff on Jitter? Yeah, bits. I mean, I use it for processing audio as well, because you can do, you know, if you just like peek and poke, so doing a video process on something and then peeking it again. Like, yeah, I mean, I've done quite a few bits of that. I mean, initially I was thinking that it'd be good because it'd be more efficient, right? So I'd be able to GPU certain types of audio processes. So I made video processes that would do the same things as audio processes, but I don't know whether the CPU gain is much of a reason to do it. But it does allow you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, like being able to warp a matrix in a weird way, right? So, yeah, it's fun as fuck. It's good. I like jitter, but mainly I use it for processing audio. So I've done bits of video jitter stuff, which I was twitching, but that's about the extent of my knowledge of using it to do video stuff. And I see people doing way more cool looking shit than the shit I was doing. Like, I think the shit Weirdcore does, he's fucking way ahead. But so yeah, I'm not like, I'm nowhere near that level of using jitter, but yeah, I mean, using it for making basic audio processes is a lot of fun. Yeah. Do you have all the additional sound cards with R8? No, got a few. I've never had the electronic card though, so, and that was the main one that I should have had really, because that was probably the one that I wanted. Daz used to have it. I never quite liked the way that the R8 handled things like the 808 hi-hats. I always thought that they sounded weirdly metallic. I think that they used a different chord to the actual R8, 808 I mean. So Wes Anderson I like. Yeah. Because it's just such a fucking feast for the eyes. It's like going to a cake shop. You know, it's just like, it's mad. What's your opinion on the industrial and Japanese noise scenes? Well, that's weird. I can't have an opinion on a scene. I mean, scenes are all the same. They're all shit. There'll be individuals within them scenes that I like, right? So, yeah. I mean, Incapacitants I like a lot. Yeah, there's a few noise artists I like, but I don't like. You know what? I'm gonna just stop. I'm not gonna list them all because I think it'd be weird, and I feel like it wouldn't probably get my point across very well either. Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind scenes. I find you know what? I do find it weird that a lot of people say that they describe what they're doing as experimental, but then you listen to their stuff and it's just another noise album or another drone album, and you're like, well, what experiment are you carrying out there? This just sounds totally conservative to me. You've just done the same thing as all the other artists in this field. So where's the experimentation? I don't understand that. But I wouldn't describe my own work as experimental either. I just find it weird how many of them people do when that scene's been around for, what, 40, 50 years since Maurizio Bianchi and all that. So, not sure you can really call it experimental anymore. But it is what it is, and maybe there's some artists in there that you might like. Like, obviously, I'm a big fan of Half the Trio, right? And I'm a big fan of Soviet France. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't want to say, like, I find that with a lot of them scenes that people within the scene all rely on each other in the scene in order to exist at all, and yet they're all making the same thing effectively. So I find it all a bit weird. You don't really get that in other scenes where there's a lot of self-similarity. You don't get it in the drum and bass scene, for example. You don't get that. But you do in the noise scene. It's like they all need each other to survive, like a big gang of people that all do the same thing. It's strange. I'm too autistic for that. I can't relate to group behaviour like that. I just can't. I think you have to be really neurotypical to be on a scene like that. Is what I think. It might not seem self-evident, but it that's what I think. Did you ever try to kiss Rob in the studio? No. But that isn't a question about my sexuality. It's supposed to make me feel awkward or something, right? So, yeah. Do you feel an energetic transfer between you and a live crowd? Can you feel it when people are into it? Yeah, you do feel it. You can feel it. I think you can smell it. People are scared of smells now, though, aren't they? They're weird. They try and cover them up. They're scared. They're scared of being human. Scared of being animals. Everyone wants to pretend to be a Instagram photo. Have you ever considered making music videos for your songs? No. Yeah, but not for long. I haven't seen Morbius. Am I supposed to see Morbius? Why is Morbius in particular? This is like when everyone was telling me to watch Doctor Strange, and I watched it. It was just a fucking shitty rip-off of a Syriac video. It was terrible. I can't believe how badly they ripped him off. Syriac should sue them cunts. Fucking mad. How did you make L66 onset, and is it true you made it in one day? Yeah, but I don't know where. I don't think I ever said that to anyone. But yeah, it's true that I made it in a day, yeah. Any tips for creating clarity in a mix when using a lot of different sounds? I think all these sort of, so there's a lot of received wisdom out there. It's like, oh, you can't have clashing frequencies, or you can't have your transients not lined up, and all these fucking things that you see online now. And I don't think having a good mix is about any of that, actually. I think it's just about, like, does it sound good? Turn things down a bit, Stop trying to make every sound equally loud. What the fuck? Like, that's not pleasant to listen to. It's just not nice, you know what I mean? It's like making all the colours equally bright. Can you imagine if you just looked out from your eyes and you were looking at a scene and all the colours were just equally bright? It'd look fucking weird. That's not what things look like, So think about that when you mixing. Think about, like, you don't want everything to be right in front of you. That's uncomfortable. If somebody comes right there, that's weird. So, you have some things further away, right? So try that. Don't have loads and loads of sounds in your mix, but if you do, if that's what you're trying to do, if you're trying to create a very layered thing, then yeah, just don't have everything. You don't have to have things be audible. That's not that important. You don't have to have things being separable. You see this a lot in headphone reviews. It'll be like, oh, it's brilliant, you can pick out all the instruments in the mix. It's like, who fucking cares, man? Does it sound good? Like, or does it sound like a lot of separate things? You know what I mean? Like, why is separation what you want? Maybe you want your music to sound like it's all coming from one place or one machine. Or nothing's correct. There's no correct, right? So you can just do what you want. So, don't think you have to remove all the bass from your reverb, or not have your kick drum and your bass guitar overlapping, or any of that fucking stupid shit that you see on YouTube tutorials. It's not about that. They're arbitrary tips, and they only apply in certain contexts. I'm not saying they never apply, but, be judicious. Use your ears, Would you ever leave normal drum sounds out and make something really abstract like the end section of LX6 Obs? Well, yeah, because we did something really abstract like that, so yeah, we would. I think I want to get banned for the rest of my life. What was the first electronic gear that you acquired? Well, I don't know. I mean, tape decks. So I had a Akai pause button tape deck, I guess. That's the first thing. And then I got SK1 in 86. So I guess that's the first. But before that, when I was younger, like when I was about 8, I had one of those shitty Bond Tempe organs, but I never used it for any, like, trying to really make anything with it. So yeah, I think the first thing that I got, I bought it with my birthday money and my Christmas money combined, right? So it's my Christmas money which I'd saved up from and then I'd saved up, and sometime during August, which is when my birthday is, I went to get the SK1 from Dixon's. So I had that from August 86. That was the first thing that I bought where I tried to buy something that was music related in order to extend what I'd been doing with tape decks at the time. So I was only young. I was like 13, 14 when I started doing that stuff. So Why is it so rare for you to do US shows? Visas and America just being dickheads. So, you know, don't blame me. Make it less expensive to come to your country to work, basically, and we'll talk then. Is there any place you would like to play that you haven't visited yet? Oh yeah, shitloads. Like a really long list. Like yeah, most places. I mean, most places that we haven't been. So I mean, you know, we normally do in Europe, Australia, Japan, North America. So anywhere that's not that, basically. How do you find a creative balance between coding and making music? I recently learned some coding, but don't feel it gels well with my typical way of being creative. It does with me. I know everyone's different. I personally consider lots of realms in these fields to be creative. I think sound engineers are very creative people. Think people who design and build drum machines are very creative. I think people who write computer software are very creative. There's creativity everywhere. It's just everywhere. So pretty much everything humans create requires creativity. I mean, so yeah, I don't think it stops you from being creative to create code. Isn't that an oxymoron? Don't know. I know people are like, yeah, but there's no vibe because you need the hard. That's why I use hardware. I don't like mixing in the box. Can't be creative. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense, does it? So, you know, ever been to Bangface? No, but it's a bit. I get the feeling it's a bit like chaos rave, bright flashing lights, retro Adidas tracksuits, middle class dropouts, ketamine. But I've never been, so I don't know. Maybe that's just my ideas of what it might be. A lot of day glow, kind of almost like comedy rave. I don't know. Raves in Manchester were dangerous. They weren't comedic. I mean, there was some comedy in there, don't get me wrong, you know. But, yeah, it was a bit more, you know, bleak. Celebrating the chaos and the collapse of everything rather than being like, you know, yeah, it was different. It was like we all knew how rough and dangerous it was, and that was the thing we were getting off on, if you know what I mean. It weren't about like day glow and sped up vocals and stupid shit. But then again, I've nothing against any of that. It's just not really my vibe, you know what I mean? I'm a bit older than that. Terraform Friday, Saturday or Sunday, I won't tell anyone else. Don't know, actually. Can't remember. Off the top of my head, I'd have to check my calendar, so. But I know we're in Greece 3 days later, so work it out from that. There's one video of Richard Devine with these gyro controllers. What are they? Gyro controllers. Oh, I see what you mean. Ever thought of adding that sense to your production? I mean, I've got an iPad, so that's got a gyro in it. I've used 6-axis quite a bit, so still got that. Really good. Actually, like PS3 controllers rather, like super good. They're like super good input device. It's got loads of shit in there. I wouldn't use it on stage because it looks whack as fuck. So, you know, but I'm sure there's people who would and think it'd look cool. So I'll let them do it, you know. Who recorded that video with a Quirky gig? I don't know. It might be someone related to Tony Wilson because I think he threw it up. It was him who drew me attention to it anyway, so. I like the picture of you both kicking snow. So do I. It's very nice. It's very wholesome. Have you owned TB303? No. Favourite Dave Smith sequential synth? Never owned any of them. Unqualified to say, but from where I'm sitting, from the outside, I'd say that the Studio 440 were a work of art. But I never used one, so I just read manuals. Are you still on good terms with what? Yes. The staff are completely different people. So basically there are 2 or 3 people who are still there, who were there when we were in Sheffield and all that. So I still know them, I'm on good terms with them. But most of the people that I work with who are on my team at Warp are different people, but they're cool people. Yeah. I've never met anyone who works for Warp who I didn't like, put it that way. You know, even if I'm not always nice to them. Do you use more simple Markov tables? Yeah, a bit. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I've used prob a bit. I mean, sometimes I used to have a thing, because I have like a device that can track control input and then loop whatever was happening for the past X amount of time, or measures or whatever. And I had a similar thing that was a Markov version of that, like a prob version of that. So it was just constantly monitoring throughput, and then occasionally I could click to that. So whatever I'd been doing with that sequencer, it would give me a kind of ersatz weird version of what it had been doing for a bit. And yeah, that's fun. Definitely like a good way to extend what you're doing. A lot of oversteps was made in a similar way, actually, where we'd start off with very basic sequences and then just use prob to just generate like long Markov versions of those things, and then use a kind of a scale based harmonic influence on that number stream to try and push it into different harmonies and stuff like that. So yeah. Favorite comedians? I mean, I've got quite boring taste in comedians, and I don't check comedy as much as I used to in like the 90s, so my taste is a little bit stuck there. I do like Doug Stanhope. I like Stu Lee a lot. I like Daniel Kitson. Yeah, I mean, they're all old now, aren't they? So there's probably better people out there. And there are people I'm not thinking of. Fuck, I used to like Louis C.K. before he started getting his knob out. So, I mean, I guess I still like him, really. He's just a sexual predator, isn't he? So it's not very cool to say. You ever tried live coding? Yeah, I mean, I guess I do it a bit in the studio, but I don't like people hearing me go through all the options. Like, the way I work isn't to have a great idea and then realise my idea, right? It's to try out lots and lots of different things and then pick the one thing that works. So that's why live coding's not really a good fit for me, because it's almost a bit like trying on different outfits in public, until you find something that works and then going out, you know what I mean? You wouldn't go out with like 10 outfits in your bag and then just start trying them all on and saying to people in the pub, like, what do you reckon? Because they'd just be like, oh, fuck off. That's a bit what live coding is like, really. I'm not that interested in watching other people code. I just want to hear the shit, I just want the work. So it's about the work for me. Not really about the seeing their process too much. How'd you like to spend time outdoors? I guess you'd call it hiking or camping, like, I just like being there. I don't really like having something to do. Like, I've not really, I mean, Rob's a bit more into mountain biking and shit. I'm a bit more into just being there. I just like being there and checking things out and sitting there and trying to be quiet and letting all the little creatures do their things, just observing them. Watched a frog spawning the other week. That was quite mad. And then realised it was 2 frogs fucking, because that's how they spawn, right? But I didn't realise for ages that there was 2 of them there. So that was pretty cool. I don't know. I like to just be there and look at things. Don't really like activities. You know what I mean? I find it gets in the way of the being there. So, do you think that talent exists, or is it just a cop-out? Does talent exist? I don't know. I think taste and experience exist. What happens if you add those together? Do you get talent? I don't know. Maybe. I think humans are a bit caught up in words, We have to stop worrying about if words are real, What's in your vape? I've answered that too many times already. Nick salts. But like a shot though, like a Nick shot. Yeah, not some flavoured juice that smells of air freshener. It's the esters. They fuck you up. Those esters that they put in the flavours. I know it's like, oh, it's just water vapour. No, is it fuck just water vapour? Get a clue. Fucking hell. Any funny stories you can tell about times with Aphex? Why? Why would I tell you about any of that? Why? Like, give me one reason. I'm not salty enough. Like, fuck yes, he answered the Autechre question. Have you heard the new Lynch release? Has it two new... Yeah, Rich. I can't think of any funny Richard stories, actually. Yeah, I just can't think of any funny Richard stories. I don't know any. He's not funny in that way, you know. He's sort of... He's funny at a distance, you know. You love this, you love the finger. That's just weird. What do you think of Monolake? I like Robert a lot. Like, I think he's really sound. And we did gigs with him. I mean, we did it, you know, back when Monolake was two of them. You know, we did gigs with him, and I always liked their shit. It was always so icy, you know. It's so kind of cool sounding, you know. And I got to know it through the basic channel chain reaction sort of connection. So, and it was quite different, markedly different to the rest of that stuff. You know, it was much more kind of cool and kind of glacial, you know, whatever the word is, you know. Yeah, some good shit. I haven't checked him for a bit though. I don't know what Robert's doing at the moment, but it's probably, you know, aesthetically kind of there. It's always very clean, his stuff, you know. If you ever woke up in the morning and played what you made last night and think, what the fuck was that? Yeah, a lot. I'm quite changeable, so, you know, and I'll usually just shelve it and come back to it later. But it's not always good. But sometimes it is. Sometimes I get into it again later. So it just depends, really. There's so many fucking reasons why I might not be feeling the same the next morning. But I do find it way better to check mixes in the morning after I've done them at night. Because if it's late at night and I'm trying to get that thing done, I'm probably going to not notice something that first thing in the morning. I don't know if it's the sleep or the having slept, right? So I don't know if it's like sleeping on it and internalising a lot of what was going on during the day and then realising things and then coming at it, or if it's just that I was tired and I just wasn't able to, or maybe I was just too focused on one thing and I couldn't hear the other thing. But yeah, sometimes you need that gap, and sleep's definitely the best way of having a gap, you know. There are other ways, like you can go in another room and get stoned and then come back in and it all sounds fresh again, but like sleep's better, I think. It's more thorough somehow. I've lost my brightness. Wait a minute. What's going on here? It's like really dark. Anyway, how's your Norwegian? Jeg snakker norsk. I snakker norsk. Yeah, I'm not very good. Do you ever use fart sounds in music? No, but I mean, I use a lot of sounds that probably sound like farts and I didn't notice. Like half of draft, you know, which, you know, it's quite farty, isn't it? But I didn't really think about it at the time. I was